I asked Vermonters to submit questions, and hundreds of you did, and I'm going to try to go through a few of them now and answer them as best I can. We have a great question from Stephen in Virgins that goes to the heart of the constitutional threat we face. Can we expect the checks and balances between the federal government we were taught existed when I was growing up? It appears that Trump has more power each day as he flaunts his actions in the face of government. What can be done to turn this around? Stephen, you are right. It's an issue that I'm profoundly concerned about. Trump is on a lawless rampage. That's really my view. He's interfering with the congressional power of the purse. He's impounding money. He's firing people like inspector generals who are protected by statute, and he's doing it all against the law. We don't have the votes with the Republican House basically going along with the president and ceding their own constitutional responsibility, and I'm horrified by that. We've won a number of cases in court that have pushed back on what Trump is doing. So this you have named accurately as a major challenge for our democracy. Question from Nora in Shelburne about health care. I'm very concerned about health care. I'm the sole caretaker of my two aging parents. One has suffered 2 massive strokes, and the other just received a dementia diagnosis. My son has been on Dr. Dinosaur since he was born. My wife and I work hard, but would be unable to pay for all the medical bills if Medicaid would be reduced or eliminated. Can you clarify how Vermonters may be affected from the federal government cuts to Medicaid? Well, first of all, Nora, I just want to express to you my admiration that you're caring for your child, you're caring for your parents. And if Medicaid is cut, it's a disaster. That's why it's so appalling to me, because what the Republican bill in the House that they just passed would do is set it up so we could cut $800 billion out of Medicaid. Can you imagine that? And have that be a pay-for so that Elon Musk gets a tax cut, he and other billionaires. It's totally outrageous. And you know, you're not alone. 2 out of 3 of our seniors in Vermont who are in nursing homes, that's supported by Medicaid. And so many of our kids in Vermont, they get their health care, of course, through the Medicaid program. So we've got a situation where Trump is proposing to take away your health care and the health care of your parents in order to finance a tax cut for billionaires. It's absolutely unconscionable. And that's why we're fighting so hard in Washington against what I think is an extraordinarily cruel and reckless effort. I'll do all I can to preserve Medicaid, but your apprehension about what happens is actually what motivates me to fight so hard to keep it. A really good question from David in West Rutland. He wants to know about DOGE. He says, why are you and your party so against DOGE? Ordinary people can't afford the cost of living. It would be refreshing to see both sides get together and embrace making our tax money work better for everyone. David, I agree with that. Here's my problem with DOGE. It is absolutely not going after waste, fraud, and abuse. And my strong view is that every governmental program, just like every item in your family budget, you should kick the tires and check it, like every month. Can we do this better? Can we save money by making changes? So I am absolutely all for that. Here's my issue with DOGE. They are not pursuing a plan. They're just sending out emails firing people. You know, if you're a business and you're trying to figure out how to be more efficient, you look at what you're doing, you assess where you're weak, where you're strong, how you can make adjustments so that you can do it better and hopefully save money. And then you act. And that might mean that you have to change personnel. It might mean that you have to spend less in a certain area. But you're doing it actually after you made the plan. What's happening with Musk is they're going into these agencies and getting the list of employees. And then almost randomly, they're sending out emails to these employees telling them they're fired. There's no plan whatsoever. And essentially, it looks like the plan is to just have as high a body count as quickly as possible to be able to claim savings. So that's the problem. It's really kind of Musk on an ego trip as opposed to careful, thoughtful business people trying to figure out how we can make our operations run more efficiently. We got a question from Ethan in Woodstock, and it really affects everybody in Vermont. Will the tariffs implemented by Trump or the retaliatory tariffs by Canada affect energy prices in Vermont? And is it possible for our state government to negotiate with Canada on tariffs? The bad news is no, the state can't negotiate. Tariff policy is exclusively the province of the federal government. And regrettably, Trump is overreaching here. He has emergency authority that was passed by Congress decades ago that gives the president the ability to do tariffs if there's a, quote, national security emergency. That was intended to be about military action, but Trump is abusing that in my very strong view. And on the other question, absolutely. The tariffs are going to affect our home heating bills, they're going to affect our electricity bills, and they're going to affect our gas prices. In fact, our gas prices up, particularly in northern Vermont, could go up 25 to 40 cents a gallon. And of course, we get a lot of our electricity from Hydro-Quebec, so we could see our utility bills going up. And a lot of the gas, the home heating fuel, and the propane comes from Canada. So these will have a very negative effect on Vermont, and that's why I'm so determined to oppose them. Great question from Alan in Huntington. Cancellation of the U.S. Department of Agriculture contracts supporting local food suppliers for food banks and school lunch programs. This simultaneously hurts children, the food insecure, and local farmers. As a member of the Ag Committee, what can you do to stop this? You know what? This is heartbreaking to me because our local producers, our farmers, they love nothing more than feeding hungry Vermonters. And of course, our farmers love contributing to feeding the world. And the DOGE cuts that we've been trying to reverse, we don't have the votes right now. We're doing everything we can to get the word out, to show how it is going to be really hurtful for our farmers and for folks who are food insecure. But I just am astonished at the cruelty of the Trump administration when they're not only cutting into food distribution programs or our local co-ops, but on foreign aid where we've got food in warehouses, by the way, that was oftentimes produced by farmers in the United States. We fired people so we can't deliver that food from the warehouse to the hungry people who need it. It's really, I think, a horror that is being caused by the Trump administration. I really appreciate your questions because they're all absolutely essential. We're going to keep fighting, and I'm going to keep you informed with the real situation that's going on. So it's not being sugarcoated, and you've got a voice and you can speak out. So thank you so much.